I'm going to talk about leopards eating faces. Unexpected subject, I know. People have seen like the ice raids and all of the other ugly stuff happening right now. And they're starting to realize that this is not actually what they wanted. By the way, cut music out of this. That's why you might hear weird pauses.
This is so crazy that we voted for Trump. We trust him with the words that he promised us Latinos.
You telling me your stupid ass voted for Donald Trump and now you are crying because your friends and family are suffering? Color me surprised.
This is crazy that starting next week, multiple cities will be hitting immigration. That is so crazy that multiple people are scared to go to work.
What did you think was going to happen?
When I work at a lot of Latinos and I go to work, that's
I work with a lot of Latinas and I voted for him, I think is what she said.
crazy because we have a living too.
God protect us, please, is the text on screen.
I hate that I voted for him. Now I'm
Boy, that helps us a lot now. I'm so glad. Thank you for that.
so scared for my family and y'all family. Y'all, we need to come together and do something about this.
The f you think I've been trying to do this whole time? I wanted to just kind of take a quick glance through r/leopards ate my face to see how people are reacting to this whole thing. Let's see. As a Middle Eastern and Muslim voter, I will not be voting for Biden-Harris in 2024. I cannot vote for a cabinet that willfully murders innocent civilians and is complicit in a genocide. Sorry, folks, can't beat me. I'm sorry. Sorry, folks, can't be me. This decision has been made. That's on October 31st, 2023. January 28th, 2025. Why the f are Democrats so silent? The nation is falling apart. Please, for the love of God, say or do something. That was your responsibility 6 months ago. Good f***ing job. Good job on that one. Thank you. My mom's a hardcore Trumper. Bought Trump coin at the top. Oh my God, that's sad. Is likely going to lose her federally funded job. Also losing her state pension she needed 18 more months to qualify for. She still supports him. Still. Trump was right when he said he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose a single vote. Yep, he was. Filipino who identified himself as a Trump supporter in the U.S. is hiding because he's undocumented and afraid of being arrested. It's like it's not even like Donald Trump told them he was going to do something different and then did the opposite. It's not even like that. He told them. He told them what he was going to do. They knew. And here we are, despite that fact, these poor dumb fools still voted for his ass. I don't understand. How is it that these fools fell for it and are just now upset? And you know what? I would bet money that they would still vote for him again. I would bet money that they would. I'm always hesitant to pull up this website. It's the Donald website, like before, it's the old The Donald subreddit, but the subreddit was banned and they moved to their own platform. And there's no moderation, none. It's an extremist cell. And if you want to know the psychotic shit that people say, think, do, and believe, this is where you find it. It's actually a really big risk for me to even pull it up on stream because it's so vile, because they say such vile things. Death threats regularly, terrorist threats, N-word, F-word for gay people all the time. So that's what we're dealing with. I'm going to have to cut some stuff out if anything like that pops up. But let's just kind of glance through. What should Trump do about, or how should he address the instances where ICE has detained citizens and veterans during their raids? Just to be clear, I'm referring to the incident in New Jersey. Citizen was arrested in a restaurant during a raid. That's BS propaganda, says this person. Like ICE visiting Chicago school when it was actually Secret Service because one of their students was posting crazy stuff. It's not BS propaganda. The second instance that he cited, the Secret Service thing, that was actually the Secret Service. That was a mistake. But, Donald Trump said he's coming to schools. They opened up laws to make it easier to do, or to make it more overt and obvious at the very least. So it's not like out of the realm of possibility. Like they do intend to do this stuff, clearly. I don't know how to dispel this one. I mean, it's been 3 to 4 days. I have this one, I give this one the 48-hour rule. This stuff literally happened. This veteran was arrested by ICE, was detained by ICE. And all they can do is say it's just propaganda. New Jersey, there wasn't any video from the store. Seems off to me. I'm sorry, I have to call BS on this. You don't arrest someone if they have paperwork and birth certificates. Liberals planted this story. They can't accept what's happening right now. Seriously. This is happening. I guess this is one of those things that they're not okay with. Let's wait and see on this one. We need more facts. Like facts are going to change their mind on anything at all. Normal American citizens usually have some form of ID with them. If they don't, well, then I guess it's sorted out by other means. Save some time and trouble and carry some form of ID. They're literally asking for people's papers. And if they don't turn them up, then you're detained. These Trump nutcases are coming up with an excuse for that, for literally living in Russia or Germany. They both did this. Well, the whole point of detention seems a little odd to think that targeted raids are not really targeted to individuals known to have committed crimes but just happen to look Hispanic. Seems a little odd, doesn't it? Yeah, I would call that odd. Instead of realizing that the odd part is not that it's happening, this is happening. That's not the odd part to them. Instead of realizing that that's the odd part rather than what they're thinking, which is, well, I think it's a liberal planet story. They can't accept reality. I mean, the whole wear your papers thing is a little off-putting. If we are intellectually honest, we were saying the same thing about COVID vaccine certificates, if you recall. They have to deflect. They have to blame other things. They have to compare it to stuff that's not happening. They have to say the liberals did it too or whatever. Fine, okay, I don't care. That didn't happen. But for the sake of argument, okay, let's say that you were required to have passports or whatever the hell. And you were not okay with it then, but you're okay with it now? I don't know what to think about this particular event. I could say shit happens and move on. And I don't want to live in a show me your papers country. And if they're targeted raids, then yeah, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Article said they received tips or complaints and went there. I don't know, more details or a press release from ICE would be helpful. The guy is waiting for the perpetrators of this wrong to explain what happened. Yeah, this is messed up, but a lot depends on the exact circumstances that we don't know. If an officer detains you for 5 minutes to ask you basic questions, I'm okay with that, especially if they were on a tip. If they arrest a citizen, take him downtown for hours, it's got to be fixed. I'll tell you what happens. Dr. Phil pretty clearly explained in his whole, ride along with ICE as they arrest innocent people. They have a list of people that they intend to grab. They show up and grab them in an accelerated fashion. They're grabbing more people than originally intended. And when they get there, they look around for anybody else that might look like they could be undocumented. That's what Dr. Phil said. That is what the borders are or whatever that he was with. That's what he said. They're racially profiling, looking for people that could be undocumented. And as a matter of fact, the Twitter account End Wokeism, you guys may know that one. He said that right now, undocumented immigrants or illegal immigrants, I think he said illegal immigrants are protesting outside of Trump Tower in New York City right now. How do you know they're illegal immigrants? How would you come to that conclusion? The answer is you wouldn't. End wokeness is guessing based on their skin color. Anyway, these people are just lost. Their heads are gone. We're not Nazis, but papers, please. I can't believe this is where we're at, says this person in the comments. Even I, a Dane, know you don't have to provide ID in the States unless they have RAS of a specific crime. I think it depends on the state. I think that if a cop asks for your ID in certain states, you have to give your ID. And if you don't have one, then I believe they have the right to arrest you until it's sorted out. I know that because my brother has had to deal with this. But again, it's state by state. I think that Georgia does not require ID. I don't know if you guys heard about this one, but Trump directs Guantanamo Bay to be prepared to host up to 30,000 migrants. Donald Trump is creating a concentration camp in Guantanamo Bay. To be perfectly frank, Guantanamo Bay was already a concentration camp, but it only held 800 people before. Now it holds 30,000, or it's going to hold 30,000. And who do you think is going to build it out to be that big? Just take a guess. Either the migrants that they're bringing there, because slave labor is, of course, legal in the United States. It's always been legal to have slave labor in the U.S. Either the migrants or the billionaire friends of Donald Trump. You know, in Germany, they didn't build the death camps within German borders usually. I think they built them in Poland largely. Auschwitz was in Poland, for example, because it was a police state. They didn't have an opportunity to reach the death camp to see what was happening in Poland. And the German citizens didn't know it was there, or couldn't reach it, or couldn't verify it, or whatever other thing. Eventually, they did actually know that it was there. It wasn't even long before they caught on to everything, but they kept it out of sight, is the point. They kept it out of reach. We know that this concentration camp is going to be there, but it's out of reach. We can't go there. We can't investigate. We can't take pictures. There's a reason why they put it out of reach like that. ICE knew where the criminal aliens were, and Mayorkas/Biden kept them free. Mayorkas, NGOs, churches, and local government officials were actively protecting the worst of the worst just because they preferred helping illegal aliens to protecting Americans. That's not true. The government knows where some undocumented immigrants are, but it doesn't know where all of them are. That's what makes them undocumented, because they didn't show up to renew their visa or whatever. That's how it works. That's the nature of this whole thing. But it did know where some of them were, and to my knowledge, up to now, most of the arrests that have happened have been scheduled. They were already planned by Biden. But the claim that these are all criminals that are being arrested, first of all, deportation it's a civil offense. Overstaying your visa, not a criminal offense. You don't go to jail for overstaying your visa. You're just deported at worst. So you're not supposed to be locked up for this. But, these people say that they're criminals. The ones that are criminals, they should be deported. I simply disagree with that. They shouldn't be deported. They should be put in jail. I don't want them to possibly go free. Why would I want that? I don't want deportation of criminals. I want them to be locked up. And if they are in the system, if they really are criminals, then they will be locked up. They're not going after immigrants because they're criminals. They're not only going after criminal immigrants. They're going after immigrants. Some of them have criminal records. Some of them do not. It's immaterial as to whether they're getting these people. Anyway, it says here they kept them free. They had no reason to arrest them. It's called due process. Mayorkas, NGOs, churches, and local government officials were actively protecting the worst of the worst just because they preferred helping illegal aliens protecting Americans. I appreciate that they included churches in that and local governments. They're not protecting the worst of the worst. You think that local governments want chaos in their cities? You think that they would rather have literal dangerous criminals out on the streets running around than have them in jail or off the streets for people's protection? Of course not. Nobody wants literal criminals out on the street to hurt others. Nobody. But you have to give everybody due process. You can't walk up to people and demand their papers and jail them if they don't provide them or whatever. That's not how this works. But these people don't seem to get it. They don't seem to understand, I guess. And one more thing, illegal aliens, that is the exact phrase that Hitler used to use to refer to Jews, illegal aliens. It's dehumanizing language. They're undocumented immigrants at best. They're not illegal. The word illegal, the use of the word illegal there is doing a lot of heavy lifting intentionally. It's not a crime. It's a civil offense. And why would you call them aliens? So here are some of the comments. Democrat Party kept them here, safe and hidden from police. You think Democrats are hiding literal murderers from the police? For what? To what end? What are you talking about? Why would anybody do that? This is like a conspiracy where Democrats are intentionally setting out to hurt the country because they hate the United States. And if they can, get murderers in the US to like build an army to hurt the United States than they win. And it's an organized effort in their head. I mean, this is delusion land, really. How do people buy this? How do they buy this? They knew, and they were doing everything they could to hide and shield them from deportation. This is just delusion, complete delusion all the way down. All Democrats must be criminals. I cannot recall a Democrat standing up and trying to do the right thing, quote unquote. It's largely installed or appointed Democrats at the state level, but make no mistake, there is blood on both Democrats and Republicans' hands, and money in pockets, enabling this at the federal level. It's less a DVR thing, a Democrat versus Republican thing, than evil v good, and the evil has been spread through both parties. Money is the root, media is the shade. Again, he believes that Democrats are hiding murderers to prevent them from facing accountability, to stick it to the Republicans. You know, when I hear somebody say that, it makes me think that that's the type of shit that they would do to Democrats, which is why it pops in their head in the first place. And I don't know what to feel but disturbed. There's more money in helping illegals. They, if you notice, they have triple parentheses. That means that's neo-Nazi slang, I guess, for Jews. When you put they in triple parentheses, it means the Jews that control the media and the banks and the everything else. So he's referring to Jews. God, dude. How could Ben Shapiro vote for this political party? Honestly. How could Netanyahu or the ADL defend them the way they defended Elon Musk? Anyway, that's neither here nor there. They are loyal to the money, not to Americans. They, triple parentheses again, don't consider Americans our fellow countrymen since we are not in their tribe. Their tribe, of course, being the 12 tribes of Israel. That's what this person means. 16 upvotes on this. It's the Catholics. I personally know several Trump voting Catholics who complain bitterly all the time about Trump's ousting of the illegal aliens. Interesting that they said Catholics. I mean, they very clearly meant Jews. But yeah, I mean, I guess that there is a lot of like Protestant hate for Catholics. And the Pope is, to my knowledge, very opposed to deportation efforts. He thinks that it's horrific and wrong and disgusting. But he also hates abortion and thinks that that's horrific and wrong for what that's worth. But yep, gonna jump past that one. We got some slurs on screen here. The American Christian Church is a cult. The pastors are owned by the federal government through being nonprofits. There are, of course, exceptions, but for the majority, the church, regardless of denomination, is no less corrupt than any other institution. I find this so fascinating. I'm trying to figure out like how their minds work on this subject, and I think I've come to a conclusion with this. Let me lay this out. I read the Turner Diaries a while back. Turner Diaries is considered the world's most dangerous book, and it's a book about a guy named Earl Turner who is radicalized, goes from just being a normal person who's kind of right-wing all the way toward leading a Holocaust, like planning and executing a Holocaust, full-blown Holocaust on the Black community, Mexicans, and a bunch of others. It works you all the way up to that position where where he arrives there, where he's willing to do such a thing to people. In the book, he said basically the Christians were helpful, but they weren't fully in line with like our goals or whatever. And I was like, that's really interesting. He calls them the Christians, like he doesn't identify with them exactly. And I came to realize that, well, Earl Turner in the book, he did identify with the Christians. He was Christian. He called himself a Christian. So why is it that he kind of differentiated between the two? And here's the reason. Because people have multiple ideologies. They have like a primary ideology sometimes. I don't think I have any ideologies that I adhere to exactly. We'll call them moral frameworks. People have multiple moral frameworks that they adhere to sometimes. Earl Turner, for example, or the people on this website, they have a primary ideology of white nationalism or of Nazism. They're full-blown Nazis. They have that as their primary ideology. And then they have Christian as their secondary ideology. They go with the secondary moral framework until it interferes with the primary. So they'll say they love God and they hate atheists, and they'll say that like Muslims have the wrong God and it's not the same as the Christian God and all this shit. But when they come, or when it all boils down to it though, and their belief system in Christianity comes in conflict with their white nationalism, they default to their white nationalism. For example, let me just give a couple of examples here. Being pro-life is a Christian position, but being in favor of the death penalty is a right-wing fascist position. It's like a right-wing fascist position. Being opposed to cancel culture is within the moral framework of one of their ideologies. But in the other ideology, Christians are superior to non-Christians and that they should be able to say everything that they want. So you get people who are opposed to cancel culture, ostensibly claim to be, but are also canceling, quote unquote, doing the exact same things that they're accusing their critics of doing. That's how you end up with hypocrisy like this. Banning trans people from bathrooms to protect children, but completely ignoring the fact that Catholic priests are being moved from parish to parish to protect them from prosecution. People that are actually hurting children actively. It's a cognitive dissonance. It's a hang up in the belief system. It's something that they're not thinking through logically, that isn't being like reconciled in their heads properly, because it's conflicting with the other beliefs. Also, raiding churches for immigrants. They legalized that recently. I think it was an executive order from Donald Trump, legalized raiding churches to arrest undocumented immigrants. Up to 5 minutes ago, these people would have lost their shit if federal agents showed up to a church to take some of the church members away in the middle of a service. Suddenly they're okay with that? It's because their secondary ideology is being overridden by their primary ideology, their primary moral framework. So here we have somebody on the Donald subreddit, the old subreddit, that says, the American Christian church is a cult, quote unquote. He puts Christian in quotes because he is a Christian, but he wants to make it clear that he is not one of those Christians. The pastors are owned by the federal government through nonprofits. There are, of course, exceptions, but for the majority of the church, regardless of denomination, it's no less corrupt than any other institution. So this person has found a way to be a Christian and simultaneously criticize Christianity. I hope nobody here needs to hear this, but Democrats want to destroy the United States of America, repeated 3 times. Just following orders, sir. They're preferred to profit off of illegals. How would anybody profit off of illegals? What are you talking about? This is just straight up delusion. Again, more slurs. Lots of slurs. Okay, great. Thank you for all the slurs. That's what I'm talking about on this website. It's insane. Dems will literally choose votes they can't control, which equals power, over the safety and lives of fellow Americans. How sick is that? They're getting themselves whipped into a blood frenzy over fictitious nonsense. Undocumented immigrants cannot vote. They could never vote. To vote, you have to register, which requires paperwork, ID, and all this other stuff. You can't just go somewhere and cast a ballot. That is not how it works. But these people delusionally are convinced that Mexicans are being bussed in to the United States to vote, to win an election against Republicans incorrectly. And if they don't believe that, I mean the people on this website, then they believe that they're building an army. It's another popular one, that they're all military-aged men building an army. That's not how armies work. And if they'd ever been in the military, they would know that. You can't just build an army like that. You need supply chains, communication networks, and everything else. And there is absolutely no evidence that any of that stuff exists for undocumented immigrants. They're from different areas of the world entirely. They don't even know each other. They've never heard of each other. They live in a delusion. These people are in a delusion. Unfortunately, it's a delusion that directly negatively affects us. So we have to face it head on. Incorrect. Law enforcement actively chose not to enforce the law or form militias. He's talking about the Second Amendment misinterpretation that leads to basically creating a competing military against the U.S. government. They're using Biden as an excuse for their immoral behavior when law enforcement had the resources and authority to protect American citizens. Police also had the means and authority to arrest NGOs and churches, but actively chose not to. They will let Americans suffer in exchange for easy times. Do not fall for their finger pointing. Wow, man. They had an opportunity to arrest churches. This is what I'm talking about. All of that bitching that these people did about how churches are absolutely sacrosanct and can't be challenged or punished or anything in any way, shape, or form, no matter what, ever. And here we are reading people talking about how churches were not, for lack of a better term, punished for whatever it is this person is complaining about. This is absolutely wild to me, man. Absolutely wild. When can we start getting those churches and NGOs in trouble for knowingly harboring fugitives? I keep seeing that law thrown around, but I never see anything actually happen with it. These are Christians. This is an example of a primary ideology overriding a secondary ideology. And in some cases, the two ideologies blend together, like with abortion and white nationalism. I don't know. For example, like abortion is both a religious and a political position, and they've blended it together so seamlessly that their reason for opposing a political position is based on religious reasoning now. Like they have souls or something like that, when in fact that's just complete nonsense. Arrest and jail time set an example. Psychopaths and corrupt individuals only stop with violence. Holy shit, bro. Treason charges for all who protect them. They'll solve this real quick and they'll squeal on the rest. Treason charge comes with the death sentence. The point is that these, like, they still aren't letting them into the jails. They didn't commit a crime. They don't belong in jails. Catholics don't worship God. They worship self. Don't be a Catholic and end up in hell. Anyway, yeah, tell me what you think about it in the comments. These people really need help, and it's just an embarrassment that they don't seem to get it. They don't get it. Trump supporter is upset that his wife is deported. I guess he thought he was special. MAGA Florida man gets his Venezuelan wife deported, begs Trump for help. A week, and now my Medicaid portal is shut down in my state. I voted for him too, but Jesus Christ. Due to the devastating impact that this order will have on our agricultural industry and rural communities, we demand President Trump clarify his order and continue federal grants, loans, and aid on which farmers, ranchers, and rural communities rely. Whoops. On January 27th, Trump signed an executive order to freeze trillions of dollars in federal grants and loans. Of utmost concern to us and our members, blah, blah, blah. Trump is destroying the country right now. He's destroying the country. And these poor dumb fools that voted for it are now complaining about how they're being adversely affected. Yeah, dumb. What did you think was going to happen? You think you were going to be exempt from this? How does one get so fucking stupid? How does this happen? Did you, drink from a lead pipe when you were little? Did you have, lead paint chips that you chewed on? Did you have little toy cars, Hot Wheels, that were painted in lead? Was that what it was? What was it? How did you get here? Look, this is funny. Look at this. Oh, dude, this is really good. Too much food. Leopards eating faces, and it's so full it's falling off the branch. I love that. That's funny. The Department of Veterans Affairs has canceled prevention training because it includes considerations for the LGBT community. This is George Carlin. If you vote and you elect dishonest, incompetent people into office who screw everything up, you are responsible for what they have done. You caused the problem. You voted them in. You have no right to complain. I'll take it a step further. If you specifically and intentionally did not vote for the lesser of two evils because they just didn't kind of meet your expectations, this is your fault too. I'm looking at you, people who refused to vote for Kamala because of how, Biden was handling Gaza. How do you think Gaza's going to fare now? Let's go to r/conservative, because that place is just, that is one hell of a website right there. One hell of a subreddit. NYC residents praise ICE raids after violent gang member captured. No, I live in New York City. I have not heard a single word of that. I'm around. I talk to people. I have friends here. Literally not one word of this. I haven't heard any of it. I live in Manhattan, for that matter. I'm in the heart of it, okay? This is bullshit. It's all bullshit all the way down. It's fictitious nonsense that they're using to garner support for something that is horrific and reprehensible. Half of these, like these r/conservative posts, are marked as satire in this little tiny, in the corner. If you look real close, you'll see a satire tag. Most people don't even realize that. Denmark to increase military spending in North Atlantic by $2 billion amid row with Trump over Greenland. You mean row? I guess that's supposed to be row. This is a shameful moment. MAGA said that they weren't going to be militaristic or imperialistic. They wanted to end wars. You remember all that? No more wars, end the wars. And Trump is threatening literal military action against Greenland. Now, what does MAGA have to say about it? They should be completely opposed to it if we are to find moral consistency. Well, that's one way to get these countries to increase their military spending. This would stop China from mining there. Is it a win? We don't spend a dime. They mine it and protect it from the Chinese. We can buy we can buy mined resources? Question mark? Really, was this the plan? They will come up with any excuse they can possibly find to turn this into Trump is really playing 4D chess, and this is really a genius move. This is a terrible move. It isolates the United States from its allies in Europe to a degree that I can't even articulate. Europe is literally threatening war with the United States if Trump tries to take Greenland. Person says probably, as we know, Trump is usually thinking a few steps ahead. These people are gone. Their heads are gone. The fact the media and left actually think Trump would send our military to Greenland and take it by force is hilarious. The media and the left don't think that. You know who thinks it? Europe. Europe thinks it. And look, I don't actually think he's going to do that, but threatening it in the first place is dumb as dog shit and hurts us. Art of the deal, this person says. Posturing against Trump rarely turns out well, ask Columbia. The Vikings are going to need a bigger navy if they're going to protect their overseas territory. I know a couple shipyards here in the U.S. that would like to help them spend their money. This person isn't anti-war. If they buy it from us, that would be a hilarious example of unintentional 4D chess. We don't care about Greenland. We just wanted to scare the Danes into buying our guns. Germany declares solidarity with Greenland against Trump. France floats deploying troops. Maybe this will get even more of these European governments to increase their military budgets. This is all 4D chess shit. They're convinced that Trump is playing 4D chess and that he's really not a complete fucking moron that is destroying our reputation internationally. He's really doing something really smart. Look at this picture of Donald Trump they have on the side here. Why'd they give him a beard? He doesn't have a beard. His face is shaved like a baby's ass. Like a chick's face. You're trying to make him look more manly than he is? How beta is that? Olaf won't even be around this time next month. Of course he's talking shit. Olaf Schultz. Let the people of Greenland vote on it. Everyone else can go to hell. That's what I think. Let the people of New York State vote on whether they secede from the United States. That's effectively what they're saying. Greenland belongs to this government. I'll bet Trump would be okay with the EU actually deploying troops and securing Greenland. One of the reasons he wants it is because it's a perfect position to protect against Russian Arctic aggression. Are you shitting me? You can't be serious with this. Like Donald Trump has any thought of military protection against Russia? U.S. citizenship renunciation inquiries surge in Canada, lawyers say. Bye-bye. Great. Renounced citizenship means they can't vote. Good. Oh, and don't come back for U.S.-based healthcare. Trust me. Nobody is coming back for that. It would be really funny if they did that only for Canada to become the 51st state. Although thanks but no thanks on that one. We've seen the people Canada elects, they can keep to themselves. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Shit, I didn't even think about that. If Canada became the 51st state, Republicans would never win another election. I wonder what they had to say about Elon. 332 comments. Let's see here. This is about Elon Musk's Nazi salute. Can we please get rid of Elon? It's becoming more clear he's a liability rather than an asset for Trump. That's interesting. I'm sorry, but the cope here is insane. As somebody from Europe whose family suffered under the Nazis directly because they weren't German enough, this is just insane to read. European conservative. Would you really react the same if someone from the left spectrum did this? Trump needs to get rid of him. Conservatives are not Nazis, but people like Elon damaged this reputation. That's interesting. I didn't expect that one. And these are the upvoted ones. The left saw exactly what they wanted to see, but seriously, damn it, Elon. Laughing emoji. So I guess this person is saying that Elon didn't actually do a Nazi salute. Am I reading this correctly? This is 30 upvotes. Pretty much, yeah, he could have easily made his heart goes out to you gesture with both hands and nobody would have questioned it. People need to remember how unhinged the left is and that they will absolutely latch onto anything they can. It doesn't get any clearer than that. It was a Nazi salute, really. Anyone with a functioning brain stem knows this already. Edit, salty commies are here to downvote. 70 downvotes. Wow. So this post said Elon Musk's Nazi salute was not actually a Nazi salute. That's what the post says. Somebody in the comments replies, everybody knows that. And he gets downvoted to shit. I'm going to take that as a sign that most people probably believe that it was intentional and that it was a Nazi salute, and they like that. I know all you ignorant leftists are going to be stepping on rakes over and over and over again for 4 more years, and that you couldn't even wait 8 hours to hoax again, but we'll keep letting you do it and laughing at you anyway. Elon in October, quote, those who want to kill more Israelis need to be stopped. They should either be killed or incarcerated, or else they will continue their efforts to murder Israelis, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he's pointing out the contradiction, the cognitive dissonance between Nazism and Zionism. Zionism and Nazism, as I talked about not too long ago, are two sides of the same coin. Nazism is the belief that white people or Aryans are superior because of their bloodline and that they deserve to control the world, and nobody else has a right to have any kind of political authority or anything at all. That's Nazism. Zionism is identical, except instead of Aryans, they believe it about Jews. And Zionists and Nazis work together all the time. They worked together in 1933, August 1933. They made a deal with Hitler to push Jews into Palestine so that they could start a war called the Nakba, where they took Palestine and renamed it Israel, and ethnically cleansed all of the Palestinians in the area. And by the way, August 1933, for the record, that was after everybody knew exactly what kind of person Hitler was and what he was up to and what he had planned. Zionists and Nazis are the same, is my point. P.S. The real Nazi wannabes are all of you Democrat leftists rioting on college campuses for the past year, celebrating the murders of Israelis at a music festival and chanting Antifada. Okay, I don't know who he's imagining in his head right now, but who is doing this? Is this real? I haven't heard of a single instance of this. Well, I think I heard about like some right-wing nutcases complaining about Antifada or something, some Antifada chant. But again, I think it was Netanyahu that complained about that, and he's a Nazi. He's a Zionist, which is a Jewish Nazi. It is an identical ideology. So I'm sorry if I don't take his word for it or whatever. Do you know that Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, went to high school in Pennsylvania? You know, he went to Yale University. He lived in the United States for like a really long time before going to Israel and claiming that, claiming the title of Pope of the Jews, if you will. He and the ADL and Ben Shapiro are a shame to the victims of the Holocaust. A shame, an embarrassment. Somebody at the ADL going to get fired for telling the truth. He said, my heart goes out to you, gestured at his heart, then outstretched his arm to the audience. No, he didn't. He did a Nazi salute. And a few seconds later, afterward, then he said, my heart goes out to you. The two things were not connected to each other in any way, but all right. Anyway, yeah, tell me what you think about it in the comments. These people are just so whacked out, man, really. So whacked out.